10. Haas. Nico Hulkenberg did a good job last season, and I think he'll stay on as the experienced driver. Kevin Magnussen will lose his seat. I'm afraid he's done in F1 for good now. He made his debut in 2014 when he replaced Checo Perez at McLaren. We know he was out of a seat in 2021 when Haas needed Mazepin's money. But it's time for a new phase in F1, and there's nothing better than promoting a Formula 2 champion. I think Theo Pourchaire will take K-Mag's seat. He's in Super Formula now for the 2024 season, and it's known that those cars are the closest thing to a Formula 1 car. He'll toughen up and he will be ready for a full-time seat, even in the worst team. People, what do you think? Theo Pourchaire, a Formula 2 champion in Formula 1. 9. Stake F1 team. The team formerly known as Alfa Romeo or Sauber is in a weird phase. They are transitioning into the Audi Works team that will have taken over the whole team by 2026. I feel that they are not very ambitious at the moment, and they are focusing more on getting the team around the drivers in order rather than dishing out loads of money for spectacular drivers. With Joe, they have a lot of sponsorship money, and Bottas is a very decent driver. So I think they'll both get a new contract, 1 year or 2 years depending on when they'll start getting the Audi lineup ready. And then as for the drivers themselves, it's not like Joe and Bottas are crashing the cars terribly each race. Whenever there's an opportunity to put that car into a good position, they'll do it. There's a race where they can get, some points. They usually manage that as well. 8. Racing Bulls. The Visa Cash App Racing Bull team has a very marketable driver in their midst. Daniel Ricciardo is most likely the most interesting part of that sponsorship. That's why I find it unlikely for him to go elsewhere. You don't get a new big sponsor, sell them Danny Rick, and then take him to another team. So Ricciardo is there to stay. Beside him is another driver from Oceania. His neighbor, Liam Lawson, is getting his full debut season after impressing as a substitute in 2023. I bet those guys will make loads of Aussie versus Kiwi jokes. I'm thinking that Visa has paid $50-60 million. I'm just getting that out of thin air. But they paid a huge sum of money to get Daniel Ricciardo to promote their product. Probably the deal that they made is okay, we're not making this deal paying all this money for you to take him out of the sister team after 6 races to put him in Red Bull. That's one thing. Then it is time for Liam Lawson, especially what he's shown after the substitute drives. It's very important that he gets a proper seat because he's ready for it. 7. Williams. Despite James Vowles' valiant efforts to give Logan Sargent time to get used to F1, it's not going to be enough for the young American to keep his seat. He will be replaced by a driver with more experience. Yuki Tsunoda will leave the Red Bull family and join Williams. I can't wait for the content he and Alex will be making together, as Yuki is the shortest on the grid and Albon one of the tallest. Yes, Alex Albon is wanted by big teams, but he prefers to stay with the Williams team because they will have a cracking 2024 season. It's a team he knows now, and he's the main driver there, which he won't be at another team. So that's my thinking about it, behind it. Yuki Tsunoda will be out of the Red Bull family. Alex Albon, there's a lot of hype about Alex Albon. The Ferrari seat, the Red Bull seat. I made a video about it 2 weeks ago. All in all, I think it's the most pragmatic if he stays with that team, especially with the growth the Williams team is showing. James Vowles, I have a lot of trust in James Vowles that he'll talk to him and talk some sense into him. 6. Alpine. The Alpine lineup will stay the same. Ocon and Gasly say that they're both unhappy and willing to leave. But to be fair, who would want them and who will pay as much as Alpine? I think they're saying they want to leave for a better position to negotiate in. It's as simple as that. Yeah, so that's my thinking. Recently it came out that Ocon and Gasly are unhappy at Alpine, and I don't blame them because that team is a big steaming pile of shit at the minute. I think their salaries are quite up there as well, in the several millions, up to 5 million, I guess. It would be best if they stayed there, and the expectations are already really low. They've got nothing to lose. 5. Aston Martin. Everyone is hoping that Lance Stroll will go and do something else. let's be fair. He will perhaps miss his home race in June to compete in the WEC with the Aston Martin hypercar. And to make matters worse, Fernando Alonso is going to retire, for good this time. Aston Martin will not have the same great start as last season and will be fighting to get the lower point scoring positions. The good news is that Felipe Drugovich will get his seat for 2025. After all these years on the sideline, he'll finally get his chance. That's another F2 champion that finally gets his chance in F1. I think Fernando Alonso, the years are counting. I have subscribers that think that Aston Martin is going to blow everybody away again next season. I'm not so sure. 4. McLaren. Zak Brown is calling all his sponsors to donate money to keep Lando in that seat. Lando Norris has signed a new deal with McLaren. Norris will be the first F1 billionaire after signing his lifelong contract. Piastri has a contract till 2026, so I don't see him going anywhere before then. But there's a new trend going on these days that teams don't tell the media anymore how long the contract is the drivers have signed for. But yeah, the McLaren lineup is brilliant and they don't need any change. 3. Ferrari. Leclerc has signed a big contract with his team and I can't imagine him anywhere else. He is Ferrari. Sainz hasn't signed yet, but he will sign that 1-year deal if he has to. He won't be happy about it because he wants a 2-year deal, but I don't see him in a smaller team. He's already moved teams 3 times. What I'm hearing from interviews with Charles Leclerc is that he said, when I was old enough to talk, I was always talking about, red cars and Ferrari. And when he was junior driver, it was always Ferrari. And then his whole career, he was with Sauber in a Ferrari powered car. And I think he puts a lot of trust in Frederic Vasseur. And that's why he's happy enough to stay. And Carlos Sainz is a bit more difficult because he's been linked to Audi for so long now. He wants a 2-year deal and then see what's going to happen in 2026. And I think Ferrari is saying, well, if you're not going to commit till after 2026, then we're not going to give you a long contract. And, there might be a Ferrari junior or another driver, another prospect out of a contract around that time that would fit the role of number 2 driver for Leclerc better. 2. Mercedes. Russell is happy enough at Mercedes, even if all the attention goes to his teammate. He will get his fix by doing weird poses and weird radios. Hamilton is a difficult one for now. I have him racing with Mercedes, but if the W15 doesn't live up to the hype, then he may retire. But for now, I have Mercedes as no change. There's not much to say about that. They both have contracts that will take them to the end of 2025. They get on with each other reasonably well. They're in each other's way sometimes. And another winless season for Lewis Hamilton. I don't know. And, today I read that he gave an interview saying a sabbatical before he retires might not be such a bad idea either. You wouldn't be talking about that if you're not thinking about it. Red Bull, Verstappen, Perez. Perez? Yes, Perez. Red Bull obviously has Max for what looks like the rest of his career, but that second seat is very interesting. A lot of people think it'll be Ricciardo's, some think Sainz, some think Tsunoda or Lawson. My choice for the second seat is Checo Perez. Perez will find a way to qualify better and will get more podiums and another 2 wins. That's all Red Bull wants. If he doesn't cause any stirs, causes any crashes with Verstappen, then his contract will be prolonged. He finished second in the standings, and when he does it again, why would you disrupt that by bringing another driver in? The idea with Perez staying is that he's going to have a cracking 2024 season. He's going to qualify within 4-5 tenths of Verstappen each time. He will have to start in P5, P6 sometimes. With his racecraft, that's no problem. He'll be the perfect team player because he knows Verstappen is hard to beat. And when he does that, then why would you disrupt a whole team by bringing another person in? I'm going to leave it at that. Thank you so much for everybody that joined, and I'll see you all in the next one. Doei doei! A special thanks to my channel members. Your help is much appreciated. If you want to support this channel too, click the link down below.